Hello, this is David Jones with Queen City Toastmasters, and I want to talk to you about being timer. A timer is usually the first role that a new member wants to do. They think it's the easiest role, and maybe word-wise it's the easiest role, but for me personally, I think it's one of the most important roles, and I'll explain why to you in a minute. Now, at Toastmasters, everything is timed. Most speeches are between 5 and 7 minutes. Table topics are 1 to 2 minutes, and evaluations are 2 to 3 minutes. And we time everything because in real life, you just don't want to ramble on. You have to have speeches at a specific time period, and that's why Toastmasters does it. And part of the timing process is if you go over or under the time limit, then you don't qualify for the speech. Now, the reason the timer is so important is it was an incident that happened to me recently where I was giving a speech 5 to 7 minutes. And when you prepare your speech, when you practice it over and over, you pretty much know where in the story you'll be at 5 minutes, where you'll be at 6 minutes. And come 7 minutes, when you're wrapping up or giving a punchline, you know exactly where you're going to be. And recently I had given a speech, and unfortunately, something happened with the timer. It just, they had a malfunction with their equipment. I'm not sure. But come 5 minutes, I knew where I should be. I knew there should be a green light that came up, and I'd be, all right, I'm right on time. But that green light didn't come on. Then I start thinking, am I talking really fast? Did I skip something? And as I'm thinking of this, I'm still thinking about my speech and talking. So I have all these things going on in my head, trying to figure out what's going on and continue to give the speech. And then you start losing your place. You start stuttering and stammering. You start going, 6 minutes. Light still didn't pop on at yellow. I knew where I should be, and that's where I was. 7 minutes was my punchline. It was going to be beautiful. It was such a great speech. And 7 minutes, I give my punchline, but there's still no red light where it should be. So I start making up stuff. The color blue is blue, or the sky is whatever. I was making up stuff. Meanwhile, the timer is waving on because we're on Zoom. I'm like waving back. How you do? Anyways, problem was the timer had a problem, and my speech was horrible because the timer didn't have the lighting system or the timing done right. Now, we always try to learn everything when we do a speech, whether it's good or bad. I learned that I have my own timer. Every time I do a speech on Zoom, it is sitting right on my computer, and I don't have to worry about the timer. But in a perfect world, we do need to have a timer doing their duty and keeping time and doing the colors. Now, when we're in a regular meeting in person, we have an actual, it looks like a traffic light where it's got the green, yellow, and red lights, and you click it and the green light comes on and everybody can see it. So they know the times. If you ever seen like political speeches or something like that, they have timers where the green, yellow, red, they blink out. We have the same thing. And when we started at Toastmasters, and I still use it as my fallback. So like, for instance, 5 minutes, here's my green light. And if you're on Zoom, you can see this, and therefore you know you're at 5 minutes in your speech. 6 minutes, 7 minutes, time to stop, time to wrap it up. Now, I've also seen people, because sometimes we don't have a timer, we'll ask somebody to do it, become a timer last minute. So I've seen people do green light, yellow light, red light. And if you're the speaker and you know where the timer is, this is fine. This is green light, yellow light, red light. There's no problem with this as long as you, at 6 minutes, do this so that they know it. These things we don't really need except for last minutes, because Toastmasters International has a solution. And I'm going to show you what it is. I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up in your computer. I'm going to hit share screen. I'm fairly new with all this Zoomy stuff. So we are going to share. There we go. Let me go ahead. Oops. I said I was not very good at this. All right, so we're going to go into our Google machine here, and we're going to type in Toastmasters timer background. Okay, this is Toastmasters timer background. Where are you? Right here, Toastmasters timer background, and this is great. And here's all these little nice colors for us, and you're going to pull up these things. So here is our green. I'm just going to pull it over, put it here. You need, I don't know why they have blue. You need green, yellow, and red. And here's my red. Okay. So we're going to get out of here. And we're going to go to up here, video, and choose a virtual background. Now, I'm hoping this is coming out okay because this is really cool. I can see myself here and here. So as you know, with the virtual backgrounds, I can be in San Francisco or I can be at the beach. Now these, I just pulled these over. So all I did was drag these over here, put them in here. So now you can see that I have them. So we have the timer going. You might have one of these. You might be using your phone. Let me get rid of this silly ocean. So you'll be sitting here, and I don't know if you can, I'm hoping you can see what I'm looking at, but basically I already have my choose my virtual background up, and I have my watch going on my phone, and you don't do anything until the time comes. So at 5 minutes, then I'm going to hit my virtual background. Everybody can see this on the meeting. Everybody knows for sure. Then comes 6 minutes, boom. It's such a simple solution. And then 7 minutes, boom. And then when you're all done, boom. But don't, as soon as they start talking, don't start the green. You're going to wait until they get to either the 5 minutes for the prepared speech, the 1 minute for the table topics, or the 2 minutes for the evaluation. But this seems to be the simplest solutions: green, yellow, and red. All right, so let me get out of here, and I'm going to give you some more information. Stop sharing. There we go. So that is the simple solution. You just do it. You keep a timer on your phone or your watch or something. Now, there's kind of a script that you go through, and everybody, Toastmasters has a certain way of doing the script, but it's also an individual thing. So whenever, and this is part of it, you have probably heard us say, thank you. And for instance, a timer will be introduced by the not the table topics master, the Toastmaster of the day. So the Toastmaster will say, Mr. Timer, please explain your role. And then you will say, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. That's our standard greeting. All speakers should say that. And the reason we say it is because of the timer. Because as soon as somebody says, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master, or thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster of the night, greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests, that's when you hit the button. You don't hit the timing button until they say their first words. And by them saying that, they have the understanding. These are big words. They have the understanding that you're going to hit the timers, and that's what they're thinking about. And that's why they say these words, is so that they know the timer is going to start when they say, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. Boom, you've hit the timing, the clock at that point in time. And then, like I said, you leave it like this until they get into their 1, 5 or 2 minutes, whatever the time is. And then that's when you bring up the green. And then you can leave that green background on until they hit the next stage where it's yellow or red. So whenever the person introduces you, which is usually always going to be the Toastmaster, you'll say, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. My name is David. I am the timer for the evening. Timer report, and then you're going to want to show everybody that you can actually do what you're going to say you're going to do. So you would have choose a background. So you'll say, we time everything. So thank you, Mr. Tabletop or Toastmaster. I like table topics, so that's always in my head. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Greeting fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'll be the timer for the night. Our timing is 1 to 2 minutes on table topics, 5 to 7 from prepared speeches, and 2 to 3 minutes for evaluations. Now, there are some other times, but they're not as often. There's some much longer speeches. Icebreakers have a little shorter period of time, and whenever those come up, we'll let the timers know, but they're not that often. And you're going to want to say, for instance, whenever there's a prepared speech, it's 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, I'm going to put on the green light. At 6 minutes, I'm going to put on the yellow light. And at 7 minutes, I'll put on the red light. And every participant has 30 seconds to qualify. So if it's a prepared speech, you can go up to 7 minutes and 30 seconds, or you can go to 4 minutes and 30 seconds because there's 30 seconds on either side. whenever whomever it is, it could be the general evaluator, table topics, or someone else will say, can I get a timer's report? You will just say, um, John Doe came in at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. He qualifies because he's within that 30-second grace period. Or he came in at 7 minutes and 28 seconds. He still qualifies even though it's a 5 to 7 minute speech. And I think that's it. But you're going to want to do the same. So you're going to explain your role as I'm the timer. It's 1 to 2 minutes for table topics. At 1 minute, I'm going to do green, 1.5 yellow, and 2 minutes red. Prepared speeches, green at 5 minutes, yellow at 6 minutes, and red at 7. And then evaluators are at 2 minutes green, 2.5. Is that right? Yeah, 2.5 yellow, and then 3 minutes red. I'm pretty sure it's 2 to 3 minutes. It might be 2 to 4, but you'll know it's timer because you're going to look that up. But that's how we become timer, and it's not that hard, but you need to be able to do it because you can really mess up somebody's speech if you don't have it done right. So I hope this helps you all do your timing role. And again, it's a good starter, but then you'll see everybody else do it because it's such an important role that everybody steps in to do it. All right, I'm David Jones of Queen City, and enjoy your time with Toastmasters.